Darren, lovely to see you looking so well. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm feeling good, thanks. I started treatment 3 months ago at the Freeman, and I can't speak highly enough of the facilities and the staff there. It's a real credit to the NHS. The nurses and the doctors have been brilliant. It was a bit tough at the start, if I'm honest, but now the side effects have settled down and I'm feeling really good. And I'm hoping, I've got 9 months to go in the treatment, but feeling really great, and it's a really positive prognosis, so I feel great about that.
How are you coping with it all?
Well, I mean, as you know, I sort of announced it about a year ago, and the plan was there to try and give the club as much transition as we could to make it as seamless as possible. The plan was that I wouldn't need to start treatment till the end of the season, and thankfully I got to the end of the season because it was such a great season to be a part of. And now, obviously, that gave me a chance. I've been in for the last couple of weeks, so to help with the transition.
And what's the handover process been like overall? Obviously, as you say, it's been around about a year now that the whole process has been going on. What's the handover process been like with the new CEO, David Hopkinson?
Yeah, it's been great. I mean, David's come in with enthusiasm, and he's going to be great for the club. I know him a little bit from his time in Toronto. I was at Atlanta at president of MLS club there, and he was part of the commercial department of Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment. So, I know that he's going to take it on with vigour, and I'm excited to see what happens there. But in terms of transition, ownership have been wonderful, particularly when I had to go on medical leave at the end of June. And look, great people have stepped up in my sort of absence and really filled the breach. So it's been great to see how the club's been going on.
Yeah, colleagues as well, of course, but for the supporters, how much did it mean to you to sort of see what maybe mean to them in many ways, the work that you've done and everything that you have done here?
Oh, it's been great. I mean, walking around the city, the people that have come up and sort of give me support and just give me encouragement, that really has helped. And, again, we speak about it. When I'm in the Freeman, I see the Bobby Robson Cancer Clinic Trial Centre there. This club is just bound up with the community, and so that's really helped me through a difficult time.
And of course, I think the aim for anybody is to leave a job in a better position than when you started. To what extent do you feel like you've done that?
I think the sort of the growth of the club speaks for itself. If you look at some of the statistics from staff, we've gone from about 250 to over 550 now, and I'm really pleased we managed to keep that sort of value base of what it is to be Newcastle United. So we had a great place to work score of over 70% for the last 2 seasons, which is an incredible benchmark. In terms of revenue, we've gone from 140 in 2021 to the coming season, because we're in Champions League, it's going to be well north of 400 million. So that's a compound annual growth rate of over 24%, which is unprecedented in world football. So I think all of those things speak for themselves. I think about us standing up a retail unit right from scratch again, thanks to the help of wonderful partners in Adidas. With the Stack, we obviously had to buy the land, design it, and we've created a community asset that's not only on match days, but 7 days a week, has made a real impact. So there's so many things that we do. I think the foundation is something that I've been really privileged to be part of. I know that it's really special, the connection between the club and the foundation, with the helping hands at Christmas, and the supporters. We've seen it in terms of their devotion. And I think on the pitch, 2 Wembley finals is amazing, but obviously the second one, beating Liverpool and winning that cup, first trophy for over 50 years, first domestic for 70 years, that was incredible. And I remember thinking about taking this role and talking to my wife and saying, if Newcastle do get a trophy, you won't believe what it will mean to the city. Well, then we had the parade, and the city sort of outdid itself and really sort of blew my mind. I mean, I remember that day, everything from people on signposts, people hanging from the lampposts. We had people there that were carrying lads and lasses on their shoulders, dads, to the town moor. It was incredible, those scenes. I also remember you had the people there with the placards for people that were unfortunate enough to have passed away that hadn't been able to make it to see a trophy parade. And I think the whole day just brought home how important the club is to this city and this region, and it's something that will always sort of live in my mind.
Yeah, the Carabao Cup, clearly one of the massive highlights of your time here. What have been the other ones on the pitch? What else stands out?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many. I think of our first game in the Champions League for 20 years here at St James's Park, beating a team like Paris Saint-Germain 4-1 with 2 local lads in Dan and Sean scoring. And of course, Miggy got the first goal, and I've got a soft spot for Miggy since my time at Atlanta when we signed. He was a young lad from Argentina. So I think that was pretty incredible in terms of on the pitch. I think the women's team's been an amazing success story. The back-to-back promotions, that was something else. And then we're really set up, I feel, this year for a push to try and get into the WSL. So I'll be excited to watch that coming up. So many highlights, I think. But for me, one of the personal highlights was the bongo bingo that we did at the staff do a couple of years ago. I can always remember it because it was about 6:30 and I sent a WhatsApp to my wife saying, well, I'm going to go for the first 15 minutes, I'll be home at 7. I ended up getting home about 3 o'clock in the morning, and that was just a fantastic evening. I'm not sure how good it was for you guys and the players, because you had to witness me murdering Arctic monkeys when the sun goes down with the house band, but I had a good time.
I mean, maybe that's a side that a lot of people don't get to see of you. Tell us a little bit about the little leaving event that you had a couple of days ago as well for some of the senior management.
Yeah, well, look, I've been really fortunate in terms of the people I've worked with. I can count a lot of them as really good friends, and I wanted to do something, so I came up with an idea which almost forces everyone to keep in touch with me. So for all the senior management team and the coaches, I gave them a share in a racehorse. So the idea is we'll have a WhatsApp group. It's a horse that we're hoping might, if things go really well to plan, run in the Derby in 2027. And the syndicate that we're with said I could name the horse, but the only caveat to that was it had to start with the letter G, because the dams starts with the letter G, so it's part of the process. So I wanted something that would embody what it means to be Newcastle United, whether that's an item or a person. And so I thought to myself, well, what's bigger and better than Big Dan Byrne? Giant Dan Byrne. So we're calling it Giant Dan Byrne. Dan's been great about it because I had to get his permission to use his name. So we've agreed that his share we're going to give to the Newcastle United Foundation, and I'm giving my share to Bright Red, which is a charity organisation for people with blood cancer in the North East to help their sort of progress and their treatment. So it's something that is going to keep us all connected, and we'll let the fans know when Giant Dan Byrne is going to run, and hopefully we'll get the support of the whole club.
And you mentioned the fans there. You've already touched on it to an extent, but how much of a privilege has it been in many ways to work for them as well?
It has. I mean, it's a real privilege and honour to work for Newcastle United Football Club. I mean, for me, it's just been an amazing 3 years. I think, you've got an ownership that's very supportive and engaged. There's an amazing group of people here that work here that are, I know under David's leadership are going to go on and carry to, be onwards and upwards as a club. But it's, the supporters that makes this club, and I think, I think of the passion and the commitment that they brought every day of the 3 years I've been here, and they're second to none.
And it was quite fitting in many ways that your final game was a Champions League game against Barcelona. Did you sort of take a moment to reflect on how far maybe the club has come, that's the sort of company that it's keeping now over the time that you've been
here?
I
mean, it was brilliant. I mean, my first game was Manchester City, the 3-3 game here. That was, a great way to start the sort of my time with the club, and to finish with a club of Barcelona's ilk. And we saw it in the atmosphere here. I mean, what War Flags do is incredible, but the AC/DC tribute, the noise in the stadium beforehand, I mean, it was just, again, spine tingling, and it just is what makes this club special. And it's just a shame. Obviously the performance was really good, we just didn't get that chance early, and there were some great players on the pitch there for Barcelona as well. But this is where we want to be, and I think this is important because I think back to 2 out of the 3 years us being in Champions League, we need that as a club. We want to be one of the very top clubs. We're going to need to keep continuing to be in Europe and have moments like that. So hopefully it's the first of many.
And you say we there. You've mentioned Giant Dan Byrne, but how else are you and your family going to stay connected to this club that's become such a big part of your life over the last
Yeah, well, I've got 9 months with the treatment, so we're going to stay in the area. We love it here. Obviously, I have to because my twin boys are big team fans now, and they like to think themselves as proper Geordies, so they've still got a hint of an American accent in there, but so we'll see about that. But I'm looking forward to coming to games as a fan, so for me, it'll be quite refreshing to actually come to a game. I'm looking at this as a chance to have 9 months with the family, have some quality time. I'd rather it in different circumstances, but I'm going to be positive about it, and then we'll see what comes next.
Yeah, what do you hope the future looks like for yourself and for the club?
Well, look, I think the club's got a really exciting future. We've got a top coach in Eddie Howe. We've got a playing squad now that's quality as well as depth in the squad. We've got a foundation that's doing incredible things in the community and continues to build and grow. We've got employees and staff here that are just wonderful, that are pushing, I know under David's leadership, to just go onwards and upwards. We've got a great ownership. They're both supportive and really committed. And then last and certainly not least, we've got an amazing fan base. And I know in my time here, the passion that they've brought and commitment every single day of my 3 years has just been something to witness. And on a personal note, I've got 9 months to finish the treatment, so I'm going to take some time off, focus on being fully recovered and 100% at the end of that, and then be ready for whatever the future holds.